So I reviewed one Hollywood epic already this month, Troy, and I promised you guys I would review more, so this time around I'm reviewing one I never saw before until now, Master and Commander: The Far Side of the World. Master and Commander: The Far Side of the World was directed by Peter Weir and stars the one and only Russell Crowe. A British captain during the Napoleonic Wars leads his ship and crew through miles of seas as he pursues a high-class French battleship. Master and Commander is another one of your Oscar-esque epics. It has great set pieces, incredible epic scales with its set design, really cool-looking visual effects, and a great lead role coming from Russell Crowe, who was one of the most popular actors of the 2000s. This man was in everything. He was even in one of the most Oscar bait movies the year before, A Beautiful Mind, which I reviewed a couple of months ago. He was also in Gladiator, as everyone knows, so this man is no stranger to epics, and as Master and Commander's main lead, I think he's pretty darn good. Is he better in this film than he was in A Beautiful Mind or, say, Gladiator? No, but he does a pretty darn good job, and I think he's serviceable as the film's main lead. He's your idealistic leader, very strong. I think everyone would love to have Russell Crowe as their captain leading them into battle. He's not as good in this film as he is in others where he got some Oscar nominations, but still, I think he does as good of a job as anyone ever could with this role. And his co-star in the film is Paul Bettany, who plays the film's doctor. Bettany basically plays every character he's played before, a very likable guy. He cares a lot about his patients, he forms connections with them. Just an overall genuine, witty person. I could see myself sitting down and having a couple of drinks with Bettany's character from this film. I like both Russell Crowe and Bettany in this film, and plus, they already had some chemistry considering that they starred together in A Beautiful Mind the year before. As for the rest of the cast, it's a bunch of minor actors or actors that have played in co-starring roles before, but you kind of forgot about them because this movie came out in 2003, and now they just look like other notable actors of present day, even though they are not the same person. Oddly enough, too, this movie came out in 2003, the same exact year as the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, and I'm sure a lot of people looking back at this film see a ton of comparisons between this and the first Pirates of the Caribbean. That's immediately what I thought when I saw the first scene in this film, which, by the way, is amazing. From the first scene alone, I can tell that this movie has an epic scale. It's very violent for a PG-13 movie. It probably would have been better as an R-rated film, but you know what? They get away with plenty of blood and gore in this film, which is really surprising for a PG-13 movie, but you know what? It would have been better if it was R-rated because we could have had a ton more. Who cares, though? If you want to make some comparisons to Pirates of the Caribbean, this film does have some of the humor that the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise has. Maybe not nearly as much, but at least some from Paul Bettany, Russell Crowe, and the other people who star in this film, as well as some of the action sequences and the adventure vibe that this film gives off. Those would be my biggest comparisons to the Pirates of the Caribbean films, but I don't think they're that similar at all, because Pirates of the Caribbean is more family-oriented, whereas this film is more geared towards adults. You don't have a character like Jack Sparrow who is there for comic relief. This film is far more grounded and realistic. You can tell that's what they were going for. And while watching Master and Commander, I noticed that this film is very claustrophobic. Considering we are on the boat for nearly 95% of the film, you don't really see anything other than the boat. You are stuck on this boat with all of these shipmates for a majority of this film, and you know exactly how they are feeling throughout the duration of Master and Commander. This is a pretty long movie. It's almost 2.5 hours long, so when you buckle in from the beginning of this film, you are in for a long ride. And as stated, the opening of this film is incredible. The action set pieces are mesmerizing. I could watch them over and over again and never get bored. The action in this movie looks pretty similar to some of the best action we got in the 2000s, as well as this film's ending, which is equally as good as the film's opening. The movie is at its best when they're trying to take over the superior French ship. That's where we see Russell Crowe's brain in motion. He always has smart ideas when they're trying to capture this French ship. Russell Crowe's character, along with many other characters in the film, are pretty smart. This is not your typical turn your brain off action epic. A lot of the characters in this film are very smart characters. This is a well-written movie, and for a majority of the film, you don't really see that much action. Most of the movie follows these people and their struggles having to deal with sailing over these high seas for months on end. But of course, when the ship is in action, everything looks amazing. Technically speaking, Master and Commander is an absolute masterpiece. This movie deserved to win more awards than it got nominated for and won at the 2004 Oscars. But this movie does come up short in more than one ways. The first thing has to do with all the characters in the film. Russell Crowe and Paul Bettany are good. They're really good. Outside of their characters, though, nobody else is that memorable. There are a lot of minor characters in the film, and a lot of them have similar names. There are many people who look the same, and you start to lose track of who is who, and by the end of the film, especially when a lot of these people die, you just don't care because you barely get to know most of them. There are a few kid characters in the film who you grow to like, but for the most part, many of the film's characters are just forgettable. And then a couple of times I notice when the film has some downtime for our characters, the film can drag, and I mean, yeah, it really does drag. All these characters talk about are their daily lives on the ship. The film's interesting when we see Russell Crowe and Paul Bettany talking strategy of how to take down this French ship. But outside of that, I mean, this movie gets pretty boring when our characters are just sitting around and talking. And for a movie that's a so-called adventure film, we don't really see anything besides the ocean for 95% of the film. They go to land once and they're there for about 10 to 15 minutes in the movie. That's it. I wish we got to see more, but we really don't. We're just stuck on the ship for a majority of the film. But hey, one of the best things about this movie is the fact that there is no romance. In fact, there's like no female characters whatsoever in this film, so therefore none of our male characters have to get involved in a romance of any kind. That's a huge positive for an epic, especially in the 2000s. So do I like Master and Commander more than other epic films that came out in the 2000s? I wouldn't say so, at least not for the most part. There are a couple I would say I would put this over, like for instance 300, but a majority of the films that came out in the 2000s that are epics, I would put over this one. Still though, this is a pretty darn good epic movie with Russell Crowe as the main lead, who is really good, along with Paul Bettany. The action set pieces are incredible, and we see a lot of what it was like to be one of these shipmen back in the 1800s. When the movie is moving, it's really good, but when the movie is dragging, not so much. That's how I would describe this film. So I'm giving Master and Commander: The Far Side of the World a 75%. Alright, 2 Hollywood epics down, 1 more to go this month, I think. I'm not sure which one to review yet. I'm thinking The Last Samurai or Kingdom of Heaven. Which Hollywood epic would you guys like to see me review next, though? Let me down below in the comment section, as well as your thoughts on Master and Commander: The Far Side of the World. I want to hear everything you guys have to say about this film. As always, guys, if you are new to my channel, click the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I hope you all have a fantastic day.